Hello and good afternoon. It's Simon Lown here from Two Way Digital, and today I'm going to be talking with you for the next few minutes about don't use SEO if. And for today, it's going to be you're the owner of a static website. So, what do we mean by owning a static website? Well, if you've got a website that, however beautiful it might be, however well laid out and presented, if it's not constantly getting updates, then it's actually going to be difficult for you to rank. And more specifically is on the content front. So if you're not putting up any new updates, any new articles, blog posts, even offers, then the older the content gets, the less likely it is that the search engines are going to show your results to the masses. Now, there obviously are caveats to this. I'm not saying it's not possible to rank, but what I am saying is it's going to be more difficult to rank, as particularly if your site hasn't been around a long time. Obviously, there's lots of new content, coming on to the search engines every day. People are adding their SEO strategies and their content creation strategies to their business. And so that's going to be far more likely to be of interest to the search engines than somebody who just put something up once a couple of years ago and has never changed it since. Now, there will be pieces of content out there that are old but are still ranking. And there are a number of reasons for this. I'm not going to go into them right now, but it can happen. I'm not saying it won't. We can always find the exception to the rule. But if you're not creating content and your website is pretty much the same as it is today as it was 3 months, 6 months, a year ago, then it may be that SEO isn't the strategy for you. SEO is quite an active strategy in that you do need to be creating good quality content on a regular basis. Now, it doesn't have to be daily, it could be weekly, every 10 days, but it is something ideally that you need to be putting out fresh content, such the search engines recognize that you're a creator and that you're of interest. And obviously, the more engagement that you get to that content will bump you up the rankings, and more views equals even more views, even though Google says it doesn't, but that's a different story. If you're not prepared to do something along those lines and keep yourself relevant, then it's going to be something that pretty much is a waste of your time even to start on that journey. Well, how do we know this? I mean, if we look back near the turn of the century, I mean, wow. Who am I to be saying the turn of the century? God, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, if you think back, I don't know if you're aware of a chap called Dave Gorman, but he first started out and he made a great sort of program about what was a Googlewhack. And at the time, it's basically a couple of words where when you search for it on Google, you only get one result. Back then, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of Googlewhacks that you could find on the internet. But as more and more people are creating more and more content, and you've got brands and businesses and influencers and people just putting out their general stuff, there's so much content being created today that if you actually go and search for Googlewhack now, there's over 10,000 results. And like I say, back in, I think it was 2003, 2004, when Dave Gorman did this original program about the Googlewhack, it was, literally, Googlewhack itself was a Googlewhack. If you searched for that, it only had one result. But now, like I say, there's over 10,000. So, I mean, if you're not a content creator and you don't want to be a content creator, and it's not something that you can outsource or give off as a task to somebody else, then really your best option is going to be stick to the portals, stick to maybe if you're putting stuff on social media, if you're just using social media as another portal for your your latest instruction, carry on doing that. Run some paid ads to it. Maybe run some paid ads from pay-per-click on Google or Bing. But using SEO as a strategy to try and generate organic leads, it just isn't going to work for you, and it's not going to get any easier. It's, like I say, I mean, go back 17, 18 years to when you could find, unique and interesting things on, the internet that only had one result. Today, that's, so much less likely than, it was back then. You just have to be making up nonsense stuff to find what would be termed as a Googlewhack. So pretty much all of the, SEO strategies that work well today are content-based strategies. They're about you putting your voice, your message out to the world and solving problems, answering questions, etc. If your website isn't doing that, and if it's not something that you want to do, then really stick to paid ads, because it's going to be a far better use of your time, your money, the investment that you put into learning about it, tweaking it, testing it, than trying to dabble in SEO and then telling the world and his dog that it doesn't work. It won't work if you don't do it properly. Now, to that end, I do have a little download that you can go and grab if you want. It's basically an organic lead beginner's guide, and it talks about all of the elements of SEO that you need to touch on and basically fix if there's a problem, if it's not there, before your content will start ranking. So if you want to see what's involved with getting an understanding of basic SEO elements, then this guide is probably for you. So let me have a look. So if you go to this link, it's bit.ly/organic lead guide. And that will take you to a page where you can go and grab the download. And essentially it is 6 pages. So you've got an introduction, you've got all of the elements of SEO domain elements. So you've got the basics, the technical content, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, keyword research, and there's an overview and a word of warning at the end about trying to use shortcuts. Go and grab that, take a look. It's completely free. Just pop in your name and email address, and that'll come straight to your mail. And that will give you an insight of what's involved of having a simple SEO strategy, if you are prepared to create the content to actually stand a chance of ranking on the search engines. So, like I say, that's pretty much it for today. It's quite a simple message. If you're not prepared to create content, do it well and do it consistently, then perhaps you shouldn't use SEO. Go and look into Google and Facebook advertising instead. Do leaflet drops, advertise in the local newspapers, use your shop front, whatever it is else works for you, do that. But don't use SEO if you're not going to be a good creator of good content. So, like I say, that's it for today. So I will see you here again tomorrow, and we'll discuss another type of person that shouldn't be using SEO. So until then, have a good afternoon, take care, and goodbye for now.